Hey, 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 everybody out there. Thank you guys
Hey,
for coming out. Join
yes,
us for episode of After Dark.
yes. Let's
I
go.
am your host that does the most all the time, Roxy. So with me, I have several lovely ladies. Miss D, how are you today?
I am fantastic this evening. How's everybody doing out there?
Good, good. How are you today, Miss Letitia?
Hey, hey, I am ready to go. I am excited.
Yes, we like excitement. All right. How you doing, Miss Carla Nicole? How are you?
You already know. Already know. Hot and ready, like always. Like
I,
always.
I like it. I like it. So we all gathered here this evening so that we could bring you guys some good informational, educational information about different topics. Um, I would say PG-13 RX, depending
Okay.
on the circumstance and the situation. Tonight we're going to talk about um, circumcision and its stigmas
hmm
first. That'll be the first topic, and then we'll branch off from there and we'll talk a little bit about oral fixations. So, first, we'll go ahead and we'll get started and we'll talk a little bit about circumcision. For those of you who are out there who do not know what circumcision is, um, circumcision is the surgical removal of the foreskin or the tissue that covers over the head or the tip of a man's penis.
hmm
Um, most people, most men are circumcised at birth, or usually several days before they leave the hospital. There is a
In
big,
America. In
yeah,
America.
definitely in America.
hmm
There's a big stigma around circumcision, though, ladies. So, Miss D, what information do you have for us about circumcision? What are your thoughts?
So for me, especially in America, I feel like circumcisions are more so a rite of religious passage, and more people do it out of tradition and not necessarily knowing why. And for the ones who do know why, I think it's a lot of misconceptions about preventing STDs and things like that. And yes, there can be an increased risk of infections if you are not circumcised. However, what we don't do is teach proper cleaning because there are plenty of men that are uncircumcised that don't have to deal with those issues. But what I thought was interesting is the International Society of Sexual Medicine conducted a study on whether or not women prefer circumcised or uncircumcised men. What was interesting was in that study, they found out that about 79% of women prefer a circumcised man, but the preference is based on looks. And it's based on the perception that it could actually prevent you from contracting an STD. What was odd about that study is that once the study was concluded, they found out that a good majority of women had never had the opportunity to have intercourse with a man that was not circumcised. So their opinion was strictly based on appearances alone. And then for the women who had the pleasure of sampling both, they actually preferred the uncircumcised man because there was a different level of pleasure that came with the foreskin. So I thought that was real interesting that the study that was conducted showed women prefer circumcision. And for me, I think that just goes back to tradition. In America, we're used to that. It's something that you just do. It's a rite of passage. When your child is born, it's almost like it's undebatable. Your sons just get circumcised. But and I think I don't know if it's that we're so detached from proper teachings. I don't know what it is, but there are a lot of uncircumcised men out there that do not have health issues and know what proper hygiene is.
True, true, true. What do you think about circumcision, Miss Carla?
So for me, I think um, piggybacking off of what what Dee was saying, it's true. It's a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings about uncircumcision. I've even seen posts where it's been kind of degrading for women to perform oral sex on a man that's uncircumcised. I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions about what uncircumcised men, how they are, versus the circumcised men. But again, because of the more commonly, um, norm here, like Dee said, in the states of most men being circumcised, um, I feel like there's a misconception. Almost to the same degree, there's a misconception of nursing. So, like when you're breastfeeding your baby, some people have that same issue. Like, unless there's an education, people misconstrue that to mean something that it's not. So, really, perfect example of why many people don't understand it. They feel as though the foreskin gets in the way of, just they don't understand that there is nothing disgusting or filthy or dirty about a man that is uncircumcised. Again, this comes back to the ignorance. We haven't really had a chance to even talk about this subject, which I think is beautiful that we're talking about it tonight. Is that a lot of people feel like they know, what a man is going to be like, and you don't until you're in the bedroom with them, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know, I didn't know you were uncircumcised." You know what I mean? Just in my personal experience, I've been with both. I've had men that have all different types of penises, but outside of that, um, being with a man that's uncircumcised or one that's not, I didn't really feel a physical difference. But there is what I mean by physical is like sexually. I did not notice, oh, this is a huge difference with a man that's uncircumcised versus a man that is. But what I can tell you is that the misconception of thinking that there's going to be something odd or different when performing oral sex on a man that's uncircumcised. I think that we need to be clear that it's nothing gross or disgusting about it. It's just very ignorant that you are unaware that it is not any different. All the difference is the foreskin pulls back, but there is nothing different about the penis, being circumcised versus not. So I think it's important that we know that a lot of this misconception comes from ignorance and really not being educated as to what it is and how it looks, and then if it feels different or not. It's I think that's kind of just women's preference. But I think that definitely it comes down to just really being honest with self. I mean, when you kind of expose yourself to different men, you learn that a man's a man, to be honest.
I think there's a physical difference. Um, and I think that may depend on some of him and probably a lot of her. But I think that there actually is a physical difference. I think the foreskin, I think there's a gliding effect with the foreskin that you don't get with a circumcised man. And for some women, I think women actually can feel that difference. Because for me, the experience has been always less friction with an uncircumcised man than with a circumcised man.
Less friction?
Always less friction.
Okay.
And I think it's because of the foreskin as a almost like a gliding effect.
Okay.
So you eliminate the friction. There are situations where you're not always going to be as wet as you always are during the course of intercourse. And
Right.
to me, that there's that physical difference.
Miss Letitia, what do you think about this circumcision? Have you ever been with a circumcised man? Do you like circumcised or uncircumcised?
So for me, I don't know that I have a preference. I'm more cautious when he isn't circumcised. Now I gotta watch your hygiene because that is an issue. Like Miss D say, if you don't know how to clean yourself, we got a huge issue. My concern is purely that you have to pull back the foreskin, you have to clean it. You know what I'm saying? But I have had the experience where he wasn't able to go as many rounds uncircumcised. There was the issue of the pulling on the foreskin. So that slowed us down a couple of rounds, but
So you're saying he got sore more or less? Like,
mm-hmm.
okay.
Yep, he got sore. So that everyday run wasn't it. we had to wait a day or two before we could engage again.
Okay.
So
that I didn't hear of. That's different. Okay.
But I've heard that in some of the studies, a lot of men that are uncircumcised say that they prefer to be uncircumcised because for them, it gives them added protection from the constant irritation of rubbing up against their, whether it's their underwear or whatever, all day long. So they like, it's the protection for them.
Yeah. Wow. Great.
So for me personally, I have never dated an uncircumcised man before. I don't know what that feels like. I have seen it before. I know what it looks like. I too have been concerned about the foreskin part. I think for me, it's more so like Letitia, like the cleanliness of it. Because there are certain things that I like to do in the bedroom. I'm not trying to pull back the skin and then some dirt flakes fall off, or you know what I mean? There's tissue in there, or you just didn't. I mean, I'm just not. No.
But that's no different from wiping your ass properly.
It's
That's
true.
not how it works. Like it doesn't do that. It the skin doesn't falls to the side. It like literally slides back
and covers.
It just covers. It's not like, and then it becomes literally it becomes invisible. Like it literally becomes invisible. So the hood pulls back, but it becomes invisible. You don't. It looks exactly the same as a circumcised man. It's just that it pulls back. So the penis is all still one. It's just that it almost becomes, like I said, invisible. You don't even really can see. You can't even really see where the hood stops when it pulls back. So it's not
it's like having a tummy tuck. It's like having a tummy tuck.
Look at videos or something.
I know about it. I know about it, and she floored me with dirt flakes. Okay, like.
I'm over here like they say that causes extra infection. That means that it's something that was left off up in there, like some pee.
If somebody's unclean, because it's the same. Because when the hood is pulled over, that's moisture. You know what I'm saying? It keeps moisture in. So we're talking basically the same concept as your vagina, honestly. Because
especially if you're sexually active, you need to make sure you know how to clean.
Absolutely. So if he's
no different from a girl with large breasts. When you're in the shower, a small chested girl can do this. We got to lift some things up. No different. No different.
That's right. And I'll tell you what, to be really honest, like for me, it's never been an issue. Both of the men that I've been with that were uncircumcised were very clean. So I didn't have a bad experience with it at all. Nothing really changed as far as even performing oral sex. It didn't change. Everything remained.
I was about to ask, Miss Carter. You knew I was about to ask.
Yeah, because I know it's going to be like, well, what does it look like? So basically, what it is when he's rising to you, you start to see where the hood, where the head is poking out, and it's really intense. It's really like, for me, it's more arousing because you actually see him rising to you. So for me, it's more intensified as far as how it arouses myself. But of course, I'm into oral sex anyway. So to me, I like to see the peaking of the head and then the whole rise, and it's like, I did that. You know what I'm saying? So
you know what? I never thought about that, but I think I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. It's the responding to me. Yeah, I agree with you.
It's like the guys with the peekaboo, like the blowers and not the showers.
Yes.
It's really that. And you're like, oh, hello.
Right. It's really sexy. It really is. I love it.
I'm not fooling with y'all.
Yes, ma'am. You definitely are. We really
I'm not, because I came to show my ass tonight.
You know, it was just me. You know, this whole foreskin thing, and you know, the feeling like it's extra pee left over in there, and knowing that
it's really not. It's very. It's like I said. As long as you've been intimate with men, it's no real difference. Again, like I said, it's just the only thing is you can tell when he's rising to you, and it's more of a intimacy. Like you can feel all of him. It's nothing that's taken away from you. And I feel like,
and let's be clear, a circumcised man can have lint on his balls, so
It's
of
true.
course,
He can have lint everywhere, and
right.
that key issue is not exclusive
yeah,
to
yeah, he can be
circumcised
unclean.
men.
Yes, he can be
It's
unclean.
about hygiene.
Yes,
Exactly.
right.
So proper cleaning of this foreskin means actually pulling it back, physically
Yes,
pulling it back, and cleaning.
yes, and I think also that because in our culture it's so it's not as common for parents to not circumcise that it has now become the almost like taboo to have a man that isn't circumcised. And so it's like a lot of questions because unless you've been intimate with someone that has had the circumcision or hasn't, I'm sorry, you feel like, well, I feel like I've never experienced that, so I don't know. And so it's kind of important that you kind of, even if you do ever find yourself involved with a man that isn't, just really go in with an open mind. Just really be like, you know what, this is a part of something that is so cool because I've never done it before. And just really go in with an open mind and really just allow yourself to just enjoy him and not get caught up in the fact that he's different, if that makes sense.
Or view it from the fact that an uncircumcised penis is a natural penis. That's how you were born. You're born with foreskin. Everything about your makeup is there for a purpose. Your body is by design. So everything that you have, your fingernails protect you, your toenails protect you. Everything that you're born with serves a purpose. So, and I understand why, like I said, in America, I believe circumcision is more about a religious rite of passage. It's just, traditionally, that's just what we do in America, without any real reason why. It's just what we do. But yeah, I think if you go into it open-minded, just understanding that is an actual natural state, I think that would help the situation. But I thought it was real odd that, you're surveying women, and most women who have an opinion about it have never had an uncircumcised penis. So I thought that was odd that those women would feel the need to weigh in on a preference when you don't have anything to compare it to other than visualization.
That's true, yes.
And that's how it goes. You see me over here.
To be fair, we eat with our eyes.
But let's be clear. How many uncircumcised people? It's not like penises are the most beautiful thing on the planet. They are, but they're not. I
agree with you. I don't never want to look at no penis. I got to look at it to know like what I'm getting into. I gotta inspect this, but I don't ever want no penis pics. Let's be clear. It's not visually appealing to me. So I understand.
Oh my God.
Right.
It's not that they can't
be to me.
All photos sing to me.
Yeah, I don't like penis pics.
Really?
And then don't be sending me that. We're not gonna talk about it right now.
So wait a minute. So yes, let's talk about this. These penis photos. We need to go here real quick, real fast, because if somebody sends you an unsolicited photo, whether it's circumcised or uncircumcised, then So what? Don't be sending you what exactly?
Don't be sending me your little limp dick, thinking I'm supposed to be excited. Okay, if you're going to send it, if you're not already large, I'm gonna need you to do something with that. Show me what's actually down there. Don't send me.
Don't send you the clip.
Don't send me your little toddler dick and think I'm supposed to be excited. Told you that. I'm just saying, like. It's after dark, goddammit. Don't send me over
to the side, sitting on the.
Hey, people thinking I'm watching kitty porn because you don't know that you're supposed to do something with that before you drop it in my inbox.
That's the kitty porn.
Not the
It look like kitty porn, Miss D.
That's funny.
Your penis is not supposed to just sit on your balls limp. That's not right.
That's funny.
In its natural state, though, that's where it's at.
Some men in his natural state, that's where it's at.
Right.
I hear you.
The problem is if you grow and it's still sitting right there. Like,
For me, I think that it's really, to me, if a man sends me a pic, it depends. Like if it's somebody that I'm into, then I can appreciate it. If it's somebody that has something to show, then I'm gonna look and appreciate it. But if it's something that's not as appreciated because I'm not really into them or I'm not attracted to them in that way, then I'm not gonna really be moved. But there has been some pics that I've gotten, and I was like, not bad, not bad at all.
I did have a pic like 2 weeks ago. He twirled that mother. I said,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it just
oh.
depends. It just depends. Like
Okay.
some men have a certain, because to me, I don't know. I just think I see the beauty in a penis. I don't really see it as not attractive. I've always thought they were beautiful. And I feel like men, like their whole essence is sexy, but when they have a really nice looking, attractive penis, it's well appreciated on my end. I like looking at them.
You're talking about the Snickers bars. I hear you, ma'am.
I will share you something.
Now, when I said they're not the most beautiful, that's not what I meant. Penises are beautiful, vaginas are too, but they're not. Let's just be clear about that. Because as pretty as you can say you believe vaginas are because of what they mean, they look like beef curtains. Let's just be clear about that. So you know they can be beautiful and ugly at the same time. So that's how that goes for me. So for me, the difference between seeing an uncircumcised penis and a circumcised one, when they're both limp, they look the same to me. In all honesty, they look the same.
When they rise, am I right? I don't know. My experience.
Now,
and the more they rise, the less foreskin there is.
Right.
I will say, as much as I don't like the penis pic, I do like watching that motherfucker ride. That's exciting.
Amen.
Okay, so wait a minute though. Does that size matter when it comes to being uncircumcised versus being circumcised?
The size only matters until he get in there and not know what he doing.
When they're clumsy, falling out, and they don't know what they're doing, they don't really have a good grind move. They're not in rhythm with you. They're clumsy, or they're just not rhythmic. Stuff like that. That is very,
and if that size does not matter, it doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are.
And I always tell people, like I've had. There's one of my really good friends. He always makes fun of of his situation where his girl left him for a guy that he said was about the size of a Cheeto. And I told him, I said, well, you know, what we have to understand is when a man is small, he can tend to massage around the clitoris a lot better than a man that's endowed. So unless a man endowed is not motioning around the clitoris like what a smaller man can do, because he knows he's not endowed enough, he's going to pay more attention to that rhythmic movement around the clitoris, which is going to get women to climax more often. Now, that doesn't mean you can't climax with penetration. I'm just saying that when they're smaller, and most women seem to like, I won't say most, a lot of women like to have that clitoral stimulation during sex. So when they're smaller, they can really massage around that clitoris because their penis isn't as big. So then they tend to have more joy from the woman in that way. But the man that's endowed, for women like me who enjoy penetration, that's where I'm more satisfied. It just depends on the woman. Every woman's different.
That's true.
Right. And it's not
all
just
about attention
size.
to
It's
detail.
not just size. It
It's all
depends
about
on
attention to detail.
it depends on how his body is curved, how her body is curved, what
Exactly.
position you're in.
Right.
All
Yeah.
those things matter.
Oh, absolutely. We need to have that shirt made.
Attention to detail matters. You know, all of us
Size matters.
are on a more mature end of the spectrum. And I say that to say, like, we're not 16 anymore.
Right.
And I personally don't enjoy somebody jumping on me and then my fucking body hurt. I don't want to have to take ibuprofen after sex. I'm just saying, like, you doing too much.
Not at
I
all.
don't want to do that.
You
No.
don't like you're saying you don't like the slamming, the gentle collision that's just rough. You don't like that.
I'm
What do
okay
you mean
with
your
rough.
body?
I'm okay with rough. There is a difference between having sex and the sex being rough and you slamming against somebody's body. Because some of y'all don't realize all that slamming and you not endowed. So you not hitting it. You think you hitting it. You just hitting my pelvis. I'm chunky. I got a lot of cushion. So I don't even know how we got here.
That is funny. That's a good one.
See, I'm the girl that's gonna tell you to stop though, because I have zero tolerance for bad sex. Bad behavior in the bedroom is not tolerated by me.
Yeah.
Get off of me.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. And I let me throw the disclaimer out there. I have health issues that don't allow for all of that anyway. So it doesn't take but so much. But goddamn, why you don't have no finesse? We damn near 40. Find some finesse. I have finesse. I'm not gonna get into that part because I said I was not gonna be unruly. Off the hook, but not unruly.
This
But
is the time for all the unruliness that you possibly have. Here, no worries.
I'm just gonna semi behave tonight. Semi.
That's funny.
just be yourself.
Be you. Be you. I love
But
it.
yeah, if I had to choose, I think I would prefer
Getting back to the subject,
uncircumcised.
ladies. I'm not mad at you, Letitia. It's
I really never thought about it being a preference or not.
True.
But if I was to choose, I have to agree.
Yeah, if I had to choose.
So here I go. For me,
Mm-hmm.
the pleasure is really an oral thing. That extra skin, there's an oral fixation there. For me.
Okay. So you like performing oral sex on the uncircumcised man.
Yeah, right. I know. I'm just gonna take the lid off. Yeah, like it's something I don't know. It's just
I said the same thing.
it's a whole oral fixation. Like I don't know that it's a huge difference for me penetration wise.
Right.
But like orally, it's definitely a difference.
Okay.
I'm definitely more prone to have a little bit more fun, and he's more prone to climb a wall. That's all I'm saying.
I also think, and I wonder if this is true, but I guess it's really no way of us really knowing per se. But because they haven't had the clipping of the foreskin, I wonder if they have the real, true sensitivity of what sex is supposed to feel like.
Yep.
Right.
Right. Because don't you cut off nerve endings when you in the circumcision?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I feel like isn't his joy sexually going to be I don't know if we can say more, but I would feel like it would be more naturally engorged and more naturally enlarged and more naturally aroused to his higher potential than if you have a skin that's tightening over top of what it could be. Because I feel like if I'm not mistaken, I think it even takes a little bit of the length off of the penis as well.
Really?
Yes. I think it's almost like a half an inch or something. It comes off of the length that he would be if before they did the circumcision. So that's another
That's
thing.
It
interesting.
makes sense. The
So
way
it
the
could,
foreskin drops, it
yes,
makes sense.
yes. So to me, I feel like they're going to get more. You know what I'm saying? They're going to get more pleasure because of the mere fact that they're getting all natural engagement. They're feeling you from the natural state of
Yep.
who he is, without that tightness being, because right now his tightness, if he's circumcised, is just tight over top of what we, and he doesn't even know what it would feel like to be open to feeling you all the way, because the head is kind of hidden
Right. Until it's not.
until it's not. Yeah, we can't hear your mic, Roxy.
I get that.
We
So
can't hear you.
and let's going back to this. Oh, it's
There
acting
we
funny.
go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
There you go. We can hear you now.
Okay. Okay. So um, I was saying, so that would segue us into our next subject. Speaking on this oral fixation. Um, do you think that the oral fixation is something that naturally happens from birth? I've heard that, I've heard different things. People say that only people who are breastfed as babies have oral fixations. Um, do you think that there's a connection between oral fixation and breastfeeding, or do you think it's something that you just kind of acquire as you get older?
I
Like,
would say that if we're going to go with that theory, then pacifiers um, contribute to oral fixations. So I don't know that I necessarily buy into that per se.
Hmm.
I think there could be a potential for a pacifier to create an oral fixation because you have the kids that don't know how to detach.
Mhm.
Um, they migrate from that to thumb sucking, biting lips, sucking their tongue, stuff like that. And I think it has the potential to create an oral fixation.
Definitely.
I
I
will
agree.
say that I do have an oral fixation. I was breastfed, no pacifier, and I did not suck my thumb. So just throwing me into the and I breastfed all my children. No pacifiers. No one sucks their thumb. They may have oral fixation, but I don't want to dive into that.
Right back.
I'm teenage boys. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I nursed both of my kids.
Mhm.
But I was not nursed. But as far as orals, yeah, I can definitely say I have one. Definitely got a fixation on that. There's no question. and, and the thing about it, the
Miss
thing
Carla,
about
look
it
at you, baby. I'm getting ready to log off and go suck a dick right now.
is,
Ladies and
it
gentlemen.
is a beautiful. It
I'm
is a
done.
beautiful thing. I'm trying to tell y'all, it's a beautiful. It's an art to that, man. It's an art.
It is. And for
Oh
me,
my goodness.
I love the reaction.
Yes.
I love
Hands
the reaction. It tells me that I am in control. You're my bitch. I got it.
I don't know if I'll go that far now.
Listen, listen.
I just don't want the
You know how
visualization of you being my bitch.
right? And he make noises that he would never make.
I feel
Yes.
you.
It's that slurping and gurgling for me. Yes.
I still don't want the visualization of you being my bitch. I'm not
Listen, I'll take it. It was me being extra, Miss D, because we talk about masculinity all the time. But
right.
yeah, it's the control factor for me.
But I do agree that the bedroom is the only place where wherever you are, whatever you are outside of the bedroom, you can completely let loose and be 100% naturally you in the bedroom. And for anybody who can't be 100% naturally them in the bedroom, you are with the wrong partner.
Absolutely.
FYI.
That's hands down fact. Yes. If you can't get naked, I'm talking about not just naked physically, but naked in your
Right,
body.
right, right.
Don't don't get me started on no
I'm
coaching
gonna
this
tell
week.
you, Miss Carla. Some people don't even know what that is. They don't know what that means. Though.
Don't start coaching, because if you start coaching, I'm gonna start coaching. We're not gonna do that.
We
We're
ain't gonna
not
get
gonna do
nothing
that.
done. We ain't gonna get nothing done. Look,
We're not gonna do it, Miss Carla.
but I
I
love it
got
though.
2 life
I
coaches
love
just
to
in
be
that,
able.
sis.
I love. I love to be able to be, in your truth, in your sexual being. But then the sexual being is one thing, but to be sensual, it takes a level of vulnerability and it takes a level of honesty of self. So what that does is it causes the man to bring to his come into his vulnerability without being hesitant to you. So that's what makes the sex more intense, is that he's more vulnerable and able to be like, look, I have flaws. I might not tell people outside of here that I have them, but I have flaws and I'm willing to show them to you. And then in his honesty, and then he's matching your honesty, the sex and the intimacy is just way better to me.
And you know what? For me,
Agreed.
if I'm intimate with you, your scars and your flaws are what's sexiest to me about you.
Yes, absolutely. No question. I don't, and see, my thing is, I don't like, some women might be into all that, muscle and the veins and the big bulky six
Yeah.
Right.
packs and stuff. I'm like, just give me a natural body. I don't want all that. I would rather him just be natural in his handsomeness. You don't need all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Give
Because
me
I'm natural in my
bad.
listen. I'm
Hey.
natural in my stuff. I need you natural in yours. How about that? Let's match the
Okay,
match.
because I am not a perfect size gal.
No.
I am not a that. I am not that. I am 100%
Yes.
me. And that's. But yeah, a lot of people are not intimate. And for me, what's odd is I have so many girlfriends who don't enjoy sex, and I don't get that. Women who don't enjoy oral sex, receiving or giving. How is that
Oh my
possible?
goodness.
Yeah.
Yes. How is that possible? How can you be okay with being married and going months without sex? If we're living together, we're not going 3 days without somebody touching something, slapping
Period.
something, groping something,
Period.
feeling something. It's not going to happen, because
No.
after day 3, I'm going to ask you, what the hell is your problem?
Oh no,
Absolutely.
after day 2, I'm gonna put it on your lap. Stop playing with
Well,
me.
that
You're gonna
that
wake
too,
up
that too, that too.
you're
Absolutely.
gonna wake up on
I
the
can see
rise. This is not a game. What?
Right.
Right.
that.
Right.
And I think what you said, Dee, was powerful, because a lot of times the sexlessness that's going on in many bedrooms, I coach, so I hear about it. They're laying on the couch. How? How are you?
Miss Carla, you hit it on the head though. You're talking about sexless marriages and we're talking intimacy, and those are 2 different conversations.
Hmm.
It is.
And people who are living in these relationships, marriages that are not having sex is because they lack intimacy. When you are intimate with your partner
Yes.
outside of the bedroom, you are intimate with your partner in the bedroom. There's a
Bedroom. Yes.
disconnect.
Yes. That's truly. I love that. Listen to that. Is facts, because so many people lack knowledge of each other. And I
Mm-hmm.
say all the time, and most of the couples that I coach, I tell them all the time, are you curious about your lover? Have you
Mm-hmm.
have you checked in and really pricked their mind and got curious about them? Because our main problem is we'll sleep in the bed with somebody every night and we'll assume we know them. But we don't really
Absolutely.
ask and say, well, what's the latest thing on your heart and mind? What have you learned recently? How do you feel about this? We change our mind. And, we as women, we change our mind all the time. Well, one minute we like this and the next minute we like that. But men, they have moments where they might be like intrigued by something, moved by something, found out about something, even business wise, or in their spirit, or something new about their job, or something new about their parents, or something. And it's on their heart and mind. And if we assume we just know them because we sleep next to them every night, we're losing the intimacy.
And
Because
you
he
know
can
what?
find somebody else can be in the current event with him and be intimate with him, not because They're intimate with him sexually, but they're intimate with him eye to eye with understanding him at this point. So we have to
Right.
constantly be plugged in. It's vital.
Yeah, because you can be an absentee sex partner.
I was just getting ready to say something similar,
Yes.
Miss D.
And you know what's so funny? Because Miss Carla touched on it. You know, with my clients, I asked one of the first questions I asked them is, "What is your partner passionate about?" And it will amaze you how many times they're not able to answer that.
They don't know.
Like, well, here you are. You're in my office because there's a breakdown in intimacy. Because if you were intimate, you would know what your partner's passionate about.
They wouldn't even be at your. They wouldn't even be in your.
Ma'am,
They wouldn't
listen.
be at your desk. They wouldn't be
But
asking.
you know what? That
You're right.
intimacy extends all the way down to even the littlest things, like what we're talking about now with the oral fixation and the oral sex
Mhm.
itself. Because there are many different ways to perform oral sex, right?
Yes. Yes.
And not everybody likes oral sex the same way.
No.
And so for you to be a person's partner and to go into the bedroom with them and to just assume that because you did it like this with Ray Ray, that Johnny gonna like it the same way is not. And it doesn't work like that.
You have
Because
to learn them.
yeah, you have to learn your partner. You have to
Yeah.
learn what they like, ask questions. You know, ask them if this is what they like. In the moment,
Listen to their bodies. Their bodies talk.
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
Their
their
bodies
bodies.
talk.
Oh, absolutely, no question. Their bodies will definitely tell you because you can tell. I know the swaying of the hips is a very good indicator. The breathing, you gotta pay attention to the man's breathing. When he's breathing and panting, you can tell. Arching of the back, all of those things can happen during the actual performance. But the thing about it is, we don't really pay attention because if you're into it, you're not focusing on what he's doing. You focus on what you're doing.
And see, I'm opposite. I'm opposite.
Yeah,
I always
exactly.
focus on what they're doing because for me, my pleasure comes in making you happy. That's
Exactly.
my pleasure.
Like,
So I pay more attention to you than I do to me.
yeah, because so he even with my oral fixation,
Yeah.
I'm not guaranteed to touch you. I have to be very into you in a very intimate way to go there. And if I'm going there with you, I'm absolutely doing it solely for your pleasure. I am solely looking for you to cross over into euphoria.
Amen. Amen.
So
You know
are
what I
you doing
mean? If you're not having a euphoria for that, if I'm not for you, let's figure this out.
Right.
so
I
let's
agree.
just say, do you only do it with the happy ending in mind? Or do
Do I
you,
only do it with the happy ending in mind?
yeah, or do you think that there's time for the warm up?
Listen, I think that it's part of the warm up, it's the interlude, it's the grand finale.
It's the in
We
between, in
do this a
between.
couple of times. I don't think that it should just happen in the beginning.
Let's just
Sometimes you might need
happen
extra motivation.
Yeah. I agree. I think it just needs to be it just needs to be enjoyed. And I think that when we merely are doing something, whether it's sex or whatever, if we only have the I call it a volcanic eruption to be the goal, then you're focusing on that happening. But when you're just in the moment and just enjoying every stroke, everything you're doing at the time you're doing it, it's more or less more about the actual being present in their joy and euphoria and their arousal to you. So for me, it's like everything encompasses that whole, dynamic. And I think it's not always about is he going to get there, because he's going to get there, but it's more or less, does he realize that I'm really into this right now? Does he really realize that it is a mere joy to do this, not because of any other reason, but being selfless? Because really, when you do it and you do it well, a lot of times they have multiple orgasms as well. It's just, because it just, especially if you do the rise and fall technique, and I talked about it before, where you make them rise and then they fall, and then you rise them up again and then they fall. when they have that volcanic eruption, it is going to be so intense that a lot of times they have several just from the oral sex alone. And so when they're inside of you, it's a whole nother it's a whole nother ball game.
I think sex is just so different when you go into it with the notion that I'm in here to please my partner. When both people have that mindset,
Right.
it changes the game. You know what I mean? And then it goes back to that level of intimacy. Because for me to be in that place with somebody, there is something that you stimulate in me mentally.
That's what I was just going to say. For me, the game changes when there's physical stimulation versus mental stimulation. And
Mhm.
I prefer mental foreplay. Foreplay is not just oral sex. It's not just the rubbing, the kissing, the hugging, the sucking on the ears, kissing on the necks. That's, to me, foreplay starts with a text. How you doing? Just it's the thoughts all day. It's the constant presence. It's the always being conscious of this person. It's the connection that you have. It's the conversations. It's the little bitty things that you know this person was thinking about you. So when you connect together, when there's that physical connection, you're so mentally stimulated that the physical stimulation is just an added bonus to me.
Wait a
And you're
minute,
going
Miss
back
B,
to the
you
knowledge
telling
of each
something
other.
now. Hold on. I'm sorry, Miss Carla, not to cut you off. I just didn't want to let y'all go too far into that because y'all gonna go all into our next show next week now. We getting into
Oh, my
it
bad, my
next week
bad.
now. You had to let off too many bombs. I was over here ready.
I love
Wait
these.
a
She
minute.
always brings the fire, man. Love her. But I love that she said that though, because she made a point that when you have the knowledge, once again, you're going back to the knowledge of each other. When you have a knowledge of each other, the intimacy is just more powerful. Powerful. Period.
Absolutely. It's so intense because I'm having a very intense situation now. We're so connected mentally
Hmm.
because I've never been, the physical attraction has always been secondary for me as long as I can remember. I've never really been drawn to men on a physical aspect. So
Hmm.
now going into my 40s, I find that the physical aspect is there, but it's after he does all these things with my mind. So now I'm like a 16-year-old girl and I'm pouncing you on sight because you've stimulated me so much through the day. Because God knows there is nothing sexier than an intelligent black man. My,
Amen.
there is
Isn't that called
nothing there.
I
That
That's
is black excellence at its finest.
it is. I have to
period.
agree,
Lord,
100%.
I need a fan.
Love her. That's real.
Hey,
That's
I'll
real. I
I'll
love
drink
it.
to that. I'll
Right.
drink to that.
I love it. Everything you said, Letitia, I gotta back that up. Second that emotion, baby girl. You killed that. That's real. That's real.
That's the truth. That's the truth, lady. So when it comes to the oral fixations and intimacy, do you think that it extends both ways? Do you think that women need just as much intimacy as men do, or and vice versa?
I think men need more intimacy than what society gives them credit for. And we get so caught up in the masculine thing that we're not really thinking about what intimacy really is because that translates different for men and women. So
Mhm.
there is this assumption that men do not need intimacy. And truth be told, ladies and gentlemen, when you have quote unquote good men that cheat, it's an absence of intimacy that's
Fact,
happening.
fact,
It's
fact,
not because he's a dog. It's not because he can't keep it in his pants. There's
fact,
typically an absence of intimacy.
fact.
So I'm gonna need y'all to be honest about that. Y'all gotta listen to that because we grown, and when you're dealing with grown men, they move different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I agree. I think men definitely need intimacy. And I also feel like um it has in society, I feel like it has been um taught. It's across
Mhm.
the board that men don't need touch. So what I mean by that is a lot of times when we are in intimate engagements with men, we're just looking for him to just rub all over us and cater to our needs and are you going to do this to me? And I try to tell women a lot of times, don't be so selfish. Perhaps you need to rub him down. Have you checked on him? Have you really rubbed on him and really men are very absent of touch. They a lot of times their lovers are not touching erogenous zones. They don't even know where the erogenous zones are at or located.
Right.
So
You
they're
know
very
what though,
selfish.
Carla? I think that has something to do with the physical idea that women have more to fondle with, to orally fixate onto than men do. Especially in America, especially the dynamics between the
Right,
masculine man who doesn't play that gay shit, you know. So there are
right,
so many body parts that for a man are off limits.
right.
Even with guys, there are guys that don't mind you kissing on their chest, but you're not finna be sucking on their nipples for 20 minutes either. Because
Yeah,
you get to that boundary where, like, hold on, wait a minute, you're not sucking on my titty. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
right.
And I think that plays a big role because I think we view a lot of places on men as untouchable or
Yes,
unexplorable,
very
or
true.
and
Very
and
but
women were, I think. Go
there
ahead.
are some really good places, D, that I think sometimes we miss. One of the greatest places that I know for a fact is great for men is behind the knee.
Oh, I was just gonna
Behind
say
the
that.
man's knee is very important. Also, another great erogenous zone is the missing 3 inches. If you're not aware of the missing 3 inches, you're missing something. Educate
Listen.
yourself. Up underneath the ball
Yeah.
sack between the balls and the anus are 3 inches. That
Period.
area is very sensitive to the man.
We
Inside the
trying to
crease
touch
of the
all
arm,
that.
like what Dee was showing, is very intense for the man.
If you
Right in the groin, right, because you don't always have to just go straight for the penis as we tend to do when we're young and don't know no better. We need to also explore on his side, like his side. A lot of
mm-hmm,
times we miss
Hmm.
that.
mm-hmm.
The buttocks are very important. I don't know how we miss that because I'm a butt girl.
Well, it's a lot of men that ain't going, Miss Carla. It's a lot of men that
Now
ain't
I'm
going.
not
They
talking
about to,
about going inside the
nah,
anus,
I'm
but
talking about
I am
they ain't
saying,
trying to let you touch it. They ain't trying to let you
yeah,
Yeah,
pull you
there
straight
are
to
men that
the
don't even.
don't
Mm-mm.
Carla,
touch
there
it.
are men that you can be having missionary sex that don't like the woman grasping his butt cheeks.
Oh
I
yeah.
know.
There are men that do not allow that. And I think that is so crazy.
It is, but
Listen, I'm
that all
touching
comes
all of
down
your
to letting
ass.
you know that they're
Me
not.
too.
Nobody's gonna come in.
I'm having it all. If you don't like you stay your ass out my bed. Stripping
Right.
Hey,
down.
I
I'm
always
having
said,
it all.
I tell men all the time, women like the same thing you like. We like nice asses too, sir.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. A big ass handful. Let's
So
go.
let me tell you.
Just I
So I
always tell
believe in
women,
boundaries, y'all, because I'm
yeah,
nasty, and if you let me do it, I'm gonna do it. So I'm telling you,
Hold
you better
hold on.
say
So
something.
hold
You
on.
better stop
So
me.
with that being said, Roxy, one episode we got to talk about safe words.
Yes,
Yes.
we can
Yes.
talk
Those are important for everyone.
about. So we can talk about safe words next week with foreplay for sure.
okay, all
Um,
right,
Woo.
yeah,
that's
yeah.
so
We can
funny.
get
Oh
into we
my
can
God.
get into that
Let's
foreplay.
talk about safe words and toys in the bedroom.
Yeah,
Okay,
we can.
I
We
don't
can
have no problem with that conversation.
for sure, for sure.
You
Carla, I
already
don't think you
know.
have a problem with any conversation, honestly.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Not at
I
all.
love
No
it.
concern,
Trying to
lady.
show you, ladies. That's what we came here for, right?
That's right.
Right.
Grown and sexy, right? Grown and sexy.
That
Definitely.
Absolutely.
that
But
part.
like I said, we need to educate ourselves and get some sex books, man. A lot of people are so afraid to educate. I've been studying sex since 17. I just got into this conquest of learning and in pursuit of understanding the whole anatomy and what we do as far as how we can explore each other, but also knowing our own body is very essential too to how we climax. We have 4 to 5 ways we can climax, and a lot of us don't even know one. It's because we're not educating, we're not reading nothing, we're not paying attention to certain things that we can learn about self. So it's important that once we learn, oh my goodness, I didn't know that this is going to help me to climax. It's just a lot.
Surely.
We,
And please learn how to climax and stop faking orgasms.
yeah,
Please.
Trust
Oh
me,
my
you will
God.
love yourself for it.
Please,
yes,
guys,
Here's the thing.
man.
We can climax without penetration, and if you don't know that, you are doing yourself a disservice. Because
yes,
I swear, I have about 3 or 4 orgasms before we get into it. So you're doing yourself a disservice. We're multiple orgasmic creatures. Embrace that. Stop having all these walls up in a bedroom and actually explore your partner, because you're not gonna like the same things from
right,
your 20s to your 30s to your 40s. It changes. We evolve.
yeah,
Allow yourself the space to always explore. It's important.
yeah.
I
I
like
agree.
that, Miss Letitia. That leads us into our last words, you guys. We done ran out of time over here. I really, really enjoyed our time here together.
Me
Um,
too.
yes, yes, for sure. Do you have any last words when it comes to any of the topics we discussed this evening, either the oral fixation or the circumcision versus uncircumcision and the stigmas that are attached to it, ladies? Any last words?
For me, I just say don't knock it till you try it. So if you've never tried an uncircumcised penis, get rid of the stigmas, get rid of find yourself a man who bathes and knows how to bathe properly, and get over that. But try it so that you can actually have something to compare it to, because you might actually be surprised at what you enjoy. So I say don't knock it till you try it.
I like that. I like that.
Love it. Well, what I would definitely say is if you have oral fixation, there's nothing wrong with it. Enjoy it. Be creative though. Understand that you don't want to just do oral sex one way. There's so many different ways and versions of things you can do to intensify the orgasmic experience. A lot of times we feel like, oh, it's a job. And if you're feeling like that, don't perform it. Just don't do it. If you really are moved to do it, then be creative. Try different things. Pay attention to your lover. Is he responding well? Is it kind of going down? If it is, then okay, try something else. Pay attention during oral and you will find that you will fall in love with it just as well as you fall in love with your partner.
Yes. Any last words from you, Miss Letitia? You gave us a lot of heat.
Just enjoy yourself. Everything doesn't have to be a task. Sex should never be a task. Have fun. Explore. Let go.
And often.
Often.
Again,
Absolutely.
yes.
Don't bring your cranky ass in the office because you ain't getting some. That's what's wrong with you.
Don't get me
Hey,
started.
Letitia, I had to tell one of my coworkers the other day, you need a drink, a blunt, and a dick. I'm sorry. That's just what you need.
Period.
Because you look tight.
Why you uptight? Oh my God, that's
Oh, yes, I'm gonna loosen your ass right on up. You be free.
I
You
love
know
it.
what? So I think for me, I'm gonna say learn yourself. Um, it's easy for you to go out here and sleep with somebody else and touch on them and learn what it is that they like. But if you don't know what it is that you like, then that's the first problem, because you can't
Mhm.
very well please yourself and nobody else if you don't know where you are sexually. Um, that is our time, ladies. I thank you for coming out. You guys check us out again. We'll be here again next Thursday. And every Thursday after that on After Dark. It's been a pleasure, you beautiful ladies. Thank you guys for coming out with us this evening. You ladies have a good night.
You
Good
too.
night.
Bye, 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 Letitia.
Good night.